For staying with us right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachiku. This is the world news, and here are the top stories. NNPCL under fires $897 million Warri refinery revamp flops. President Bola Tinubu approves redeployment of 4 federal permanent secretaries. Nigeria's non-oil exports hit $1.7 billion in first quarter 2025. Nnamdi Kanu's trial adjourned as items recovered from the leader revealed. Also, Nnamdi Kanu reveals why Radio Biafra was established. In a very recent development, too, in political matter, Okowa reveals Atiku on his way out of PDP. Also, INEC discloses that it wants Tinubu or the presidents to stop appointing resident electoral commissioners. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. Industry operators and experts have questioned the operational integrity of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, particularly regarding transparency, efficiency, and overall management of Nigeria's refineries under its purview. This is after the revelation that the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company 1,000 metric tons of polypropylene and 18,000 metric tons of carbon black. Commissioned in 1978, the Warri Petrochemical Company is operated by the NNPC and was established to cater to the markets in Nigeria's southern and southwestern region. Meanwhile, in a similar development, however, still on the Nigeria's non-oil exports grew by 24% to $1.79 billion, which is 2.7 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2025. The executive director, CEO of NEPC, Noye Ayeni, made the disclosure in Abuja at a press briefing on Monday, while presenting the first quarter non-oil products performance in 2025. In this development, however, she disclosed, and I quote, Nigeria's non-oil products exported in the first quarter of 2025 were valued at 1.791 million, well, this is a 24.5 increase over the above US $1.436 billion, which was reported the outgoing permanent secretary, who is set to retire on May 7, 2025. Engineer Farouk Yusuf Yabo moved from the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development. Dr. Emeka Vitalis Obi transferred from the Ministry of Budget and Economic Development to the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. Mr. Ogbodo Chinasa Nnam from the Special Duties Office to the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Esther Wilson Jack, stated that the redeployment is part of routine administrative process aimed at revitalizing the civil service. She encouraged redeployed officials to leverage their experience to ensure effective service delivery and continue progress within their new ministries. Now, in a very recent development, the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, modem, Etisalat, flash drive, camcorder, hand recorder in black pouch, MacBook Pro adapter, mic stand, Philip headphone, Radio Sharp mic with cord, Pro Sound mic with cord, a bunch of cards, power adapter for mixer, Easy Blaze white modem, Samsung phone, black Motorola phone, one Nokia phone, black Samsung, black phone, Link black modem, 8 gig flash drive, extension wire adapter, a pair of shoes, about cedarwood sneakers and footwear. These were all the items that were disclosed by the DSS at the court earlier today. Still on that development, however, Nnamdi Kanu admitted before the Federal High Court that he founded both IPOB and Radio Biafra. Speaking during the proceedings, Kanu said he established a movement and the online radio platform to promote the welfare and interests of the Igbo people. Kanu dismissed claims that IPOB operates as a secretive organization, stating that all his broadcasts on Radio Biafra were made public and streamed via Facebook. When questioned by the Department of State Services about associates, Kanu insisted he worked alone for matters held in Lagos on Monday. INEC is pushing for the amendment to Section 14, subsection 3, paragraph F of the third schedule of the 1999 Constitution to empower the Commission to appoint and discipline heads of state and FCT officers. Section 6, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act 2022 to align with the Electoral Act with the new arrangement. Currently, the President, as you know, appoints resident electoral commissioners under Section 154, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, subject to Senate confirmation, with removal only possible by presidential action supported by a 2/3 majority of the Senate. Kuna said the changes were necessary. Obviously, I'll be joined via the telephone with Barrister Fred Nzako, who is the political, national and social affairs commentator. Barrister Fred Nzako will be helping to give us more insight into some of the stories read out here on the World News at 6. Do kindly stay with us. Barrister Fred Nzako, good evening and thank you for joining us on the World News at 6 today. How are you?
Thank you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, Barrister Fred. Thank you. Thank you very much for actually joining us on the World News. Barrister Fred Nzako, let's look at this scenario. So today, Nnamdi Kanu appeared in court, and this time around, the DSS brought in...
The line is muffled.
It's muffled? You can't hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me remove it from speaker then. All right, let me put you on speaker.
Yeah,
Barrister Fred,
it's good now.
It's good now. Okay, thank you very much. So, Barrister Fred, let's look at the scenario. Today, Nnamdi Kanu was presented in court, and there were testimonies against him being presented by the DSS. Now, the DSS was able to bring out all the items it seized from Nnamdi Kanu way back in 2015. Now, we were surprised because basically he's been held in DSS custody since 2021, since he was extraordinarily renditioned. We thought they would display contents that were brought in by him when they got him in Kenya, but they displayed all the contents, the hotel where they caught him and everything that they were able to take away from him. And one of the witnesses actually disclosed, that is one of the DSS witnesses, disclosed that Nnamdi Kanu was operating secretly with some certain persons with IPOP as an institution. How do you think, and they were able to play out some of the audios on the live broadcast that he actually...
I think does not matter.
Okay.
What matters is what is the reality and what is the main issue on the table. Nnamdi Kanu was arrested in 2015, and between 2015 and 2017 no evidence was brought before him. He was not released. He was just kept in detention until 2017, when he now was brought to court. When he now was given his bail, and while enjoying his bail, soldiers went to his house, and in the process, so many people were killed. He himself was almost killed. He escaped by the whiskers, and he ran away into exile. In 2021, he was illegally abducted by the agent, good to the ears of Nigerians because of our hero-worshipping tendencies in the country. And that was why the insult to Mr. President was turned around to become treasonable. Whereas all over the world, an insult to a president does not amount to a treasonable offense. Rather, it amounts to an offense in law of thought, which is you can as well take him to court on issues bordering about on your damage to your personality. If you feel your personality was damaged, then you can go to court and seek redress. and not to turn around to say he committed treason because he insulted Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari. To the extent that when he said that there were two Buharis operating in Asoro, that one was Jubril from Sudan, it gained a lot of traction around the world. But up to today, the presidency could not completely exonerate themselves from such statement. We don't want to go back to all those era, because in the era of Buhari not being around in the country, always going for medical treatment without the federal government officially addressing Nigerian people with what was ailing their president, it left a lot of room for conspiracy theories. If Nnamdi Kanu capitalized on the conspiracy theory and said there was a Jubril from Sudan operating in Asoro, it was the duty of government to tell Nigerians where their president was, and if there was no other Jubril in Asoro. So if those things that he did was what influenced the government and they felt he has talked too much, that he has talked beyond his age. So they say that he has talked beyond his capacity. A small boy born in 1973, why is he saying all these things? Those were mere sentimentalities and acting on emotions. They did not matter in issues and the crux of the matter in law.
How would you react to this?
We had in the news today that the court had approved that the identity of Nnamdi Kanu's witnesses that would testify against Nnamdi Kanu should be masked. In which case they will not operate and testify openly. That is a travesty of justice. We're talking about we are talking about judges of treason, which carries a death sentence if found guilty. Those of treason are very terrible charges that if found guilty, the person will be sentenced to life imprisonment or to be or death sentence. So why would you now that Nnamdi Kanu gets justice in the court of law? And again, if eventually the testimonies are only coming from DSS, then the court would not treat such testimonies with the kind of weight they should be ascribed to, because Nnamdi Kanu broadcasts to the world, and he has a definite channel of broadcasting. And of course, we should take this matter with the way it should be taken, which is ensure that there is not just justice, but the justice must be seen to be manifestly discharged, such that Nnamdi Kanu should not be suffering from persecution. From the way it is going, with the arrest and the detention without trial that has gone on for many years. And
May 20. So what happened today as well was the fact that the DSS had asked Nnamdi Kanu if he had associates, and he said no, he worked alone. He personally handled all Radio Biafra broadcast. He also talked about the fact that all his videos are in the public on Facebook specifically. Most of his broadcasts, according to him, he said were done via Facebook. And he said he did not collaborate because they asked him questions about if he had international collaborators. He says no, there were no international collaborators or individuals running the affairs of the movement's communication channels. But the presiding judge ordered that the video recording of Kanu's interrogation session with the DSS be played in open court as part of the ongoing trial. What do you think they wanted to achieve with that? For the whatever conversation he had with the DSS to be played with the open court. What do you think wanted to be achieved with that? Because we were able to get some of Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast. You know, this thing is a video. He did some videos, he did some audio. All of that is on Facebook and it's on YouTube. And some of the statements he made, a couple of Nigerians feel that they could be very well implicating. So with that and the interrogation at the DSS, do you think this could complicate his matter worse?
Of the judicial process that is ongoing. So I don't think there's anything wrong about it, but then everything will be wrong if they play the wrong video.
Well, a couple of persons believe that okay, for example, during the World News at 12 today, we played some excerpts of some of the statements Nnamdi Kanu made all right, in his live broadcast. We played it out there. But the thing is this, Barrister Fred Nzako, we've seen a Bello Turuji make utterances. We've seen a couple of persons who are still working freely make utterances that are divisive and that could be considered ethnically terrible in terms of frailing the connectivity of Nigeria's complex and unique nature. So, do you think such vehemence can also be applied to others who have made such statements via public forums? The only thing is that they use their indigenous language to broadcast some of these things.
It is very uncharitable to compare somebody like Nnamdi Kanu with a fellow like Bello. And he has his roots in law, both domestic and international laws. And that was why the courts usually find reasons to say he should be set free. So I am not interested in how government handles some other people or some other terrorists. People of right thinking faculty and people of right minds should be worried about how Nnamdi Kanu is handled. He should be given fair handling the way a freedom fighter all over the world is respected and handled. And then if they decide, he has to go through the court, they must be fair and honest with his trial. And I tell you that if they are honest with his trial, everything he says that he is sure he said, he does not deny. He even repeats that. So there's no need trying to impute anything into his own statement or trying to put words into his mouth. His words are constant and they are firm. Like he wants his people liberated from Nigeria. He is not missing words.
Okay.
And so many other people who also feel that Nigeria is not giving them what they are asking for also have
by declaring Binani, when elections, the results had not yet been completely compiled, specifically coming from all the wards. He made that announcement, walked out, accompanied by the State Commissioner of Police and other aides, taken to a helicopter before Nigerians raised the alarm, and then that was while Hudu Yunusa Ari went into hiding. Up to now, we don't know about the case. That case is still very dormant. The last time I heard about Hudu Yunusa Ari was him opening up and telling us that, exposing some certain things by telling us that Ahmadu Fintiri organized polling units, bought election materials, they wrote election results in one corner of the room and all of that. That was actually coming too late after he hid for so long and the EFCC could not produce him. But do you think these changes that the EFCC is asking for will be granted to them? Because right now,
any top management cadre of INEC, the chairman, the national commissioner, and the resident electoral commissioners. Meanwhile, you are complaining about what Yusuf Hari did in Adamawa.
Yes.
Professor Mahmoud Yakub, the national chairman. When did he declare the election results that brought in Mr. President?
4 a.m. and 3 a.m. when we were sleeping.
In the middle of the night. Meanwhile, the previous day, he asked everybody to go home and they will now reconvene at the National Center for them to conclude the protest and then announce the results. People went home, he woke up in the middle of the night
to hear that.
So what does that tell you? What is the difference between what he did and what Sahari did? Yes, one is on one side, the other one is on the other side. They are not exactly the same, but both are manipulative tendencies of electoral management.